gonna have a late night stream. I'm gonna put on some music. Although this is much less late than I was than I was programming yesterday. Let's play. Oh, I won't be playing it for everyone, it'll just be for me, so you'll still get to put on your own music. There we go. Okay. A little low on water, that might interrupt me in a few minutes, but let's see. Yeah, let's do a snippet lister. That seems good. So the question is, where do I want that to live? That could live under lists. Hold on, this music's weird. There we go. Combined write commands. That's more appropriate. Okay, so do I have a combined write header yet? Okay, we're going to make one. It's a pretty lame description, but okay. Alright, a snippet has a name and text and then a cursor offset and a mark offset. Let me just send out this tweet real quick so that at least someone has a chance of discovering the stream, possibly if they want to. All right. Snippet, snippets, one thing that sucks about this is it's going to be kind of tuned to my own style. People will have to write their own snippets or edit the snippets themselves with customizations, right? So let's think about how we want them to be able to do that. This other part that's kind of hard is I wish I had an editor that would let me do something like if I put an @cursor. Actually, why don't I do that? I don't know. It's hard to say because the data I really need isn't got ats in it. It's the text. But like I could do like @cursor @mark or something like this, or like @mark, right? But then I would actually, what I would want it to do is I would want to have a thing that parses that and turns it into this and then the numbers. For now I'm just going to put the numbers in. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, two, three, four, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7. All right. Common things that I type out all over and over again. Let me look through some code, get some ideas. Still using the shitty version too. Return. Why is this still hanging around here? Okay, so I have one. I write that all the time. Then let's put that's at 5. That position is where? It's a lot to count. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 39, 38. Missed it when I actually hit it. 5, and then I guess the mark might want to hang out right here this time. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Obviously, I'd love to parameterize that I so that it can be more things. Vramana asks, do you write tests for 4ed? No, yes. I've tried many times. I write tests when I'm doing specific things that the test will help with, but I never have really had a test system last for very long. Every time I make a test system, it helps me do some work at the time I make it, but then it falls apart because a test system assumes a particular structure of your editor, and it's a large or of your program, as far as I can tell. I've been able to find a way to write tests that, besides like asserts, I mean asserts are kind of testing, but in terms of separate programs that are tests, that like regression tests against bugs, you can only have those if you know something about your program that's not changing for a very long time, because the investment to make the test is so high that if you make the test before you're sure that thing is done changing, you're investing in keeping something correct that is impermanent, and then it's a lot of effort wasted. So I feel like testing has to be a later stage of the project, which is why I wish people would stop wanting to use it right now. It would save me a lot of time, but sometimes I have to do a little bit of testing and then throw it away to keep the quality like bearable while I'm still changing things all the time. Hope that helps. So now what? I need to keep looking through code for examples of things, so let's look at something random and see what it's about. There's still a return, but if I have to type enough of a return to put it in, why would I bother? It's not much shorter than the name of it. I guess a case one could be useful. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, what else we got? Boilerplate. What kind of boilerplate do I suffer from sometimes? I mean, a lot of the boilerplate I suffer from is transitional, not generational. Like transitioning from an if-else-if chain to a switch and back and forth between that would be really handy, but that's not a snippet system so much. I would need more power than that. What can I do that's boilerplatey, that's purely a matter of text generation being the limit? Okay, well, if we're going to do stuff that's specialized to 4coder, hey, Matthew, what's up? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm leveraging the new lister stuff pretty heavy today, so I've been feeling pretty good about it. Should be a good new build soon. Let's see. So I feel like this is a pretty useful thing for me to snippet. Custom command sig. See, if I had a marker system, what I would actually do is I would set, like, we have an @1, and then I should put this down as like an upgrade to work on custom doc @2. @3. And then you would type something in and then hit like go to next, and they would have these all queued up to jump you to them. That would be rad. But I have to, you know, start with something easier, because that's what I do. Is there, Matthew, since I've got you in the chat talking about 4coder, is there like, I'm curious what kind of reason, is it like I know you use Unity a lot, so you end up probably in like editors that are more tuned to C#/Unity type stuff, but is there anything like, oh, this is the feature I am most held up on because of, so I can't switch to 4coder, or is it just like a, like integration into your workflow type problem? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. I can't put it in 3. Again, I am limited right now. Yeah, for sure. I feel like Sublime is pretty reasonable, actually. Like, I use it on Mac over 4coder when I'm not doing heavy coding, for all kinds of reasons. Like, I don't know. It part of the problem is the Mac integration is somewhat poor, or the Mac port is somewhat poor still, and the like visual quality is better. I hate the way Sublime like orders files in the tab. That always confuses me. But like some basic stuff is good in Sublime. Hey, Abner's in the chat too. Man, having Matthew and Abner together in the same stream with me right now, it feels like very old times. Alright, what else do we do a lot when we're writing 4coder stuff? Application links app, for sure. It's kind of an odd seeming one perhaps, but it's actually perfect. So let's see. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yep. I'm just doing lister stuff, building goofy looking lists. Snippets, gonna try to make myself faster. It's the never-ending mission. More and more productivity. You know how I am. Let's see. There's a few more good ones to get this thing started. I'm sure I'll think of more over time. Enum, struct, and union. That's a little bit lame, maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, the amount of typing is so close in that case. Let's see, what else is interesting? Let's look through MetaGen. Anything in here that is worth snippeting? I could snippet divider lines. I use those frequently enough. Separator. Keeping a grid is such a pain. Way too much work. You'd think an editor could do something about that. There's a lot you could do if you're willing to specialize your list quite a bit. If you're willing to specialize your snippets to your project, you could go quite a bit further. Like I'm doing a little bit of 4ed stuff here because, hey, people using 4coder have a high chance of ending up in the 4coder customizations, and as long as I'm here, I might as well add stuff that'll help me in the core possibly too. But although I haven't actually found anything that would. fprintf might help me, but I don't know. It's close to an uninteresting case. If define end if would actually be great. Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, wrong. I'm going to put one on 0. And then one more on 0, 1, 2. Lost it. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. What's this? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Oh man, I missed a bunch of the combo. But if I skip ahead, Abner says, Josh and I deployed the first JDI build server. I think you could do a 4coder build server if you're interested in building up to date across platforms. I mean, I'm interested, but I also generally am, unless you mean like up to date in terms of, you know, knowing that it builds on every platform. Yeah. I've actually been planning to someday build something like that. It's going to take more computers. I don't have the ability to build on Windows, Mac, and Linux from one computer. I don't know how you would go about, like, maybe with a lot of work and like nobody ever updating the platforms. I could get one computer that could build all three, but more likely it seems like I need 3 computers to do the building, right? One in each operating system configured to do the builds. Technically 4 because I never got a Linux build that's um, I never got a Linux build that was 64 and 32-bit simultaneously. Yeah. So right now, part of my problem is a limited number of machines. My plan is to someday have a build farm that's like a Windows, Mac, Linux, 32 and 64, and a Raspberry Pi for ARM, all going. But it's just, you know, that's like a quality thing. 4coder, I still don't believe 4coder is ready for me to go into that mode yet. I'm getting there, but I have things I would need to change before I'm ready to say it's a good enough product to lock it down and start doing that kind of thing. What else? What else is there? Plus I need the separate computers, which I don't have, obviously. Well, I mean, I don't quite have enough of them yet. That's pretty useful. Alright, let's take a look at other things. What else do I have? In defines.h. Is there anything interesting that pops out at me here? I mean, things I don't want to make. This isn't code you write anywhere else. I want things that I hit every day, not things that hit the beginning of a project. I have one-time code for that. Let's look through 4coder helper. Combined write commands. What to do. This is obviously some of the oldest code in the project, because it still has these ifs without braces. What else? What else have I got? Do I repeat a lot? Is there anything else? Any other good boilerplates? I feel like this is probably a good starter place of obvious shit. I can add other things that will be useful for me. But the real interesting part here will be figuring out how to make it composable so other people can just add stuff to this without needing to edit this, right? So let's start thinking about that part. Okay, let's go to here. Okay. Alright, so this could go through some this could definitely go through some revisions, I feel like, to get really good, but I don't know how much and how important it actually is that this gets that good. It's sort of like a situation where the benefit is somewhat on the edge of how it's like a smaller leverage, so the amount of time I put into it should be kept low for now. Yeah. So what we want to do is, let's go to lists for an example for me to follow. Yeah, so I want to begin an integrated lister that's basic. I'm going to want an arena hanging around, and I'm going to want to temp that up. Activate Snippet. Alright, so I guess I'll just put this in there. That seems reasonable. Alright, so the only thing left is we need to write a activation handler, which takes us back to lists. That might be something I throw under 4coder now, lister activation handler signature writer. I mean, anytime I have a function signature that I want to spam out, I could just stuff it into a snippet, and then I wouldn't have to, well, then if the signature ever needs to change, I get compilation errors and have to go and update manually everything, instead of having the signature audit like this thing. But the advantage to this way is I have all my parameter names here, so if I forget a parameter name in the future, it's still there. You can't have both of these when you're in a text format, because this one, if you by definition, if you write this stuff, then in order for it to not be like in disagreement with the advantage to writing the stuff is that you get to specifically see what it says. The disadvantage is that it ties you down to this exact number and order of parameters. The advantage to this is you're not tied down to the order and number of parameters, but the names of the parameters are ghosted into you. What you want is to be able to say, tie to this signature, and then show me this information. But anyway. Alright, let's see. Activate a command. No, I don't want to activate a command. I want to activate a snippet. That's why I'm confused. Okay. So, how does this work? I need to figure out the index. You know, probably what should happen in addition to everything else is that the snippets array somehow needs to come through here. And I have the user data to do that. So then I can get index out by doing putter as int user data. Common theme, I end up wanting that state. Something to think about maybe? I don't know. But I always get the view. The view is sufficient to get the state back anyway. If I parameterize it on both, then I'm just forcing people to make this call, and if they ever pass me a state and view that don't agree, that's a bug anyway, so maybe not. I mean, this makes it more likely to get correct, but also more likely to have to query for the state twice. But I think at this level, it's actually not even that simple, because querying for the state, well, the caller of this would always be something under my control. The people receiving it would be the ones likely to create the duplication with me. I don't know. I'm going to leave it this way because it's not an expensive operation. At least it's not right now. Who knows what will happen to this function over time. But okay, so state snippets. I don't even have a count on this thing. So options. I could pair this thing up with a count. I could just trust that the index always comes back valid. We're going with option A. Snippets. Count. Starting to get an idea of how this is going to generalize. Okay, snippet array, snippet array, snippet array dot snippets equals snippets, snippet array dot count equals the array count of snippets, and then snippet array count snippet array snippets snippet array, take that address there, snippet array snippet array that's a pointer to that. Dereference, store it there. Snippets.count. Then snippet, and then finally we want to get the active view, which we have that view there. What I need to see is where is my the command lister. Yeah, so what we want to do is end this UI mode, and then we want to buffer, well, we want to get the buffer first. Buffer replace range, app, buffer. I guess we want the current cursor position. I'm sure I have that up here. Yeah, cursor.pose. Okay, so, hey, I probably have an example of how replace range looks too. App, buffer, position, text size. Okay. Position, snippet text. I guess I'm going to need the length of that, which I'm not encoding because I'm doing this and C doesn't give me any way to declare data and then transform it at compile time. Or better yet, just store the translated version into the code now and not even recompile it every time. See, Abner, since you're here right now, this is a perfect example of what I've been talking about all the time. So, the C way of things would say, I take this, and at runtime, at init time, I process it, and I create some data structure that's a little bit more advanced, that knows the lengths of these strings, and maybe if I wanted to like start doing tags where it's like, oh, for 4 you have an @1, @2, @3, @4, then at init time, I can look at all 4 of those and pull them out into a separate array and take them out, and then I've pre-processed the data into the text, the array of like positions of interest in the text, and like maybe even do some smart stuff like to hash it or whatever if I want to, you know, with it by its name. That's the C idea. Now, all that same processing in JEI happens at compile time, but my thing is like those are just two different times I could do it. When I really wanted to do it was right after I wrote it and then be done with it. Like I wanted to write, here's the data, here's an algorithm to transform it. Give me the data that's the reason I didn't write this data in the first place is because it's intricate and interconnected in ways that's hard to express. But this other way of writing it was easy to express but not formatted good for the algorithms it needs to run with at runtime. Just let me run this code right now and store the result and leave both the source, the transforming code, and the result sitting there so that later if I need to change the source I can run it again. And then never run that at compile time, because at compile time it's already doing the same. It means if I don't touch this for 100 days, but I compile every day for 100 days, and then every day I run that code, and it's the same annoying thing as when you do run stuff at runtime. It's just on the wrong schedule. Just wanted to give you a very concrete example of the thing I babble about every time I talk to you, so that maybe I don't have to do it next time. Or so that I don't feel like I have to do it, I should say. Because I always feel like I want to babble about it. To be clear, I feel like JEI is an improvement because unlike C++, C, and everything else, it at least gives me the option of two different schedules, compile time and runtime. But there's just like, I don't know, like the end game feels to me like fully loosing our dependency on schedules to the point where we can just say create and destroy them on a whim the way we like. There's certain things that we just like will spin a new thing up and we aren't concerned about this being in our system, like, oh, we have a new data structure that lives here now, and it takes some time to build it, but we're okay with that. We don't, however, or like build systems, like obviously you put thought into these things as you build them, but we don't have a story about how you just say, here's a new thing that lives on its own schedule. It's isolated, its schedule doesn't have to affect other things. So, yeah. A part of the problem is what you really want, as I feel like JEI integrated with an editor would start to get you where you really want to be, which is you want to have some code and say, hey, editor, send this to the compiler, this chunk here, run it, and send me back the results, and paste the results right here into my text. That's like the next step after JEI, in my mind. But the problem is we don't have a lot of experience with writing I can't, for instance, write like static. So if this was like snippet human readable, and then there's like static snippet processed, and I want an array of those or something, right? And then like process snippets, and then I'm like, okay, I want a snippet human readable array snippets, and you know, like an arena or whatever, or maybe it's just like context, who knows. If I write this as my program and submit it, like foo happens here, and I submit this and say give me back the snippet processed array, and you know what, maybe I also have a static char star string eyes data, or string eyes snippet array, and you can imagine it's stuff right here, right? But the point is I can't say, hey, submit this as a program and run it, because it doesn't have an entry point, and I feel like we want to get to the point where it's understood that an entry point can have parameters, and that you want to, like, when you say run this, you want to then get an interactive thing that's like, hey, which of these functions did you want to run? Okay, then which pieces of data did you want to link up into its parameters to make that happen, and then run, right? Like, I don't know what else to say besides something like that. Like, I don't know. It could be that it's like you need a run directive that goes, and this is close to how it would look in JI maybe, so this is maybe good, like global context or whatever. Who knows if you need that, maybe. And then, you know, snippets, right? I don't know, something like this. and then you could say run this, or like, hey, editor, execute this run directive that's sitting here, but this is like silenced so that JI doesn't actually run it unless my editor submits it. I don't know. I'm just spitballing, but it's something like that. Alright, anyway, I feel like I've now fully been able to communicate my most deeply held belief about the future of programming to Abner, and so I feel satisfied that I don't have to talk about this next time I see him necessarily. Yes, Flying Solomon, I streamed all day. You got it right. There was never a break for 7 or 8 hours. It didn't happen. Alright. So I think that this is actually almost done. We just need to stirlen this now at runtime, because I'm not even doing it in a init time, because writing an init time schedule is annoying enough in C. Length, string size, snippet text. Length. Okay, so that should put me where I want to be, and then I just need to view set cursor. And then that will be a matter of I need a seek of some kind, right? Seek pose. Seek pose pose plus snippet cursor offset. And I'm going to do the same thing again. No true on this one. Set mark offset. Whoops, don't need that hanging around anymore. Yeah, Abner, that's the whole thing. It's like we can all sort of sit and imagine the ideal little blob of what we want, but is it going to happen? Well, it's kind of got to happen as like, in order for anything useful to happen, it either has to be a thing where you've just got the money to be like, we're going to do this thing for real, which you and I don't exactly have that kind of money. Or you can do what we're both doing, which is someone else has something that they've decided is their real thing, and they're putting money behind it. And then you can use that to like just make sure that as your influence in there has just like a little bit of tiny little bit of like trickle into that project, a little bit of push and trajectory towards that, so that maybe I've got 4coder at a certain point in 5 years, and JEI's at a certain point in 5 years, that suddenly an integration like this is just possible to get like a very basic working version of it up, And that basic working version might be mind-blowing, or it might be a complete disappointment, or it might be good enough to prove that we need more. But yeah, I feel like there's different ways, and nudging is the way we've chosen. Index. Okay, I think we should test it because it's... Wait. No, the lister handoff doesn't work yet. I have to bind it. I'm going to do the lister handoff next, though. The lister handoff problem is that the command lister can't execute a command that itself starts a lister because the lister handoff fails. It's in one lister, it starts a new lister, and then ends the previous one, simultaneously ending the new one. So I need to make sure the lister handoff is possible, which is going to take a little bit of doing. There's always your next decade, you know? Now, why do I have these comments sitting around? Did I once upon a time have an indentation rule or something where that wouldn't work? Speaking of indentation rules that wouldn't work, what's the deal here? I have no idea what that's about. Is it because we're after that thing? It is, huh? So undef messes that up? Oh, it's because this doesn't have a semicolon on it, isn't it? If I did that and then that, you'd be happy? Okay. Anyways, I have virtual whitespace turned off. Let me turn on my whitespace visualizer so I can remember that. And then I'm going to make sure that these still indent properly. Yeah, okay, no problems. Alright, so the point is I need to bind something. Alright, so snippet. Where would I... Control B is not taken? Actually it is. It's just taken in my other one. E, F, G. Control little h is taken for global, isn't it? Yeah, right there. Control little I is taken. G, F, G, H, I, J. Control little j. Control J is available. Later, Abner. Alright, we want a snippet lister. Alright, I'm gonna run load. No, I don't need load project. I just need to run snippet lister. Alright, let's try guard. Did I spell guard wrong? Hey, that worked though. Then I can replace Z with foobar HCPP. Yeah, okay, I spelled it right. So why is it that that one won't switch off? Alt-X will switch off? Oh, I didn't end UI mode on this one, did I? Oh, it also has to be on a file to do it. If it's in a UI, it won't. Interesting. I feel like these names are still too long, because if I type 4, I get that. I probably just want FI to go to 4I. I don't know. At least that worked. That one will be useful. Love it. Okay. So snippets are done. Except that I need to talk about how I'm going to make this expandable somehow. So a couple of ways. We're going to do if defined snippet expansion include snippet expansion and if. And then there'll be a runtime version of this that just takes in the snippet array. Cool. Alright, so I like it that way. Yeah, this is a good start. Let's switch over to this problem real quick. So the thing in the lister thing with lister command things, yes. That succinctly reminds me of the entire problem. Good going. Me. So basically, we have to come over to UI helper, activate Call activate handler. So we see if we have an activate handler, and if so, we call it and receive its code, and then we act accordingly. But what we actually want to do is do some stuff, do the code activation, like handle the code, and then do some more stuff. Because sometimes that more stuff is stuff that needs to happen after the code, and we don't want to have two activation handlers wrapping this thing. So instead what we're going to do is make a little helper here. Lister activate activation state update default update. And this is going to take, let's see, I don't know, let's just copy that in there and see what doesn't build. How about that? First of all, it's definitely going to need an application links. Does it need Scratch? It's going to need the arena. It's going to need the heap. It's going to need the heap. It's going to need the view. Does it need the state? It's going to need the state. Is it going to need the user data? No. Is it going to need the activated by mouse? No. Okay, so those it does not need. But it is going to need the lister activation code. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's going to have to do this. And then here's the catch. We actually only do this when we don't have one of those. And then we do that. Okay, so there's the default update, and then there's the activate handler there. So a couple changes need to happen. The activate handler needs the scratch and the heap and the state. Well, we said that it might be coming to this, so and then it wants those three things there. Okay, so now I need to track down the type of this thing. Activation handler returns no type at all. And in addition to the view, it's also taking a scratch arena, a heap, a lister state, and there we go. Now we gotta track down all the things we just broke. You don't know about lister states yet. Okay. Activate, confirm, kill. There we go. So in addition to the things you already take, which should be those things there, you should also now take all of this. You no longer need to figure out the state this way. Scratch heap. Boom. Behavior. And then once it's all done, you just want to lister activate activation default update app scratch heap view state lister activation finished. Alright, if I've done my job right, this is the place, out of all the things I've had to change to this new format, this is the one place where it's going to pay off. Because now, when I duplicate that down to there, what we're actually going to do is say there are two situations. Either we do this here, or we do it here. Actually, why don't we do it here and then do that work? Only trouble is, I don't know if that will still... It's a tough call. We'll see. Pretty sure that that will still be the right pointer in this particular case. The user data that we're getting is just a user data pointing to a command that won't be freed by the update when we finish the lister. And that's free to begin a new lister without affecting the old one. Alright, let's take a look at this one. Activate jump. Really? I didn't realize that they did something like that. Are you saying like it's like an arena King of the Hill type game now, or is it just that they've copied the like maps and guns and styles of those things? And the options for combat. That's pretty cool. I mean, cool in the sense of not that it's cool, but cool like it's sort of cool as in it. Oh, you mean it solves problems like... Are you saying it solves problems like the technical problems, or like the... I mean, first of all, that's what I've always thought of Call of Duty as, is like if we just set aside all I don't know, sort of boundary innovation, and instead just focus on seeing if we can execute flawlessly on technical and like push as far as we can on like production value, what do we get out the other end, which is not necessarily a poor experiment to run. But I find it cool that Call of Duty, in the sense of continuing the tradition of just cloning the best thing that's out there and trying to do a good version of it, where good means production values. It makes perfect sense that Call of Duty would be PUBG now. So, yeah. While I don't care about PUBG or Call of Duty, I find it cool that my prediction of how Call of Duty gets conceptualized for the people who make it hasn't really been affected. Interesting. Now you've intrigued me and I want to check it out. And now we're on to the snippet part. Okay, so for this to work, what has to happen is I want to get my snippet and I want to have it in scope, and then I want to call the ender right there, and I will pull another one of these down here and pull out those lines. Okay, so now we don't need to end UI mode. Hey, I'm not saying I hate PUBG or that I love it or that anything like that. I'm just saying I don't care, because I basically can't play first-person shooters no matter what design is put on them. I've played a little bit of PUBG, a little bit of Fortnite, and I don't know if, I haven't played enough of either of them to really fully appreciate the design, but I just can't. I can't do it. Like, I don't know what to tell you besides the fact that, like, I just end up dead, standing there like I didn't see a person. There was somebody shooting me somewhere. I heard sound effects and I saw blood spatter. I shot my gun, I think. From as far as like it seemed like I was shooting my gun, but I don't know. I can't tell you what just happened. It just is what it is. That's like, I don't know. I don't feel like I can make a plan and then see the parts of the plan come together in a way that makes any sense ever. Like, I don't know. I'm always lost. Like, in terms of first-person games in general, I'm generally not good. Third-person games work better for me in 3D, but I feel like I'm more 2D in general. I like 2D games a lot better overall. Third-person games, like some of my favorite games are third-person 3D games, and the only first-person game I can say I've ever enjoyed was The Witness. And, that's probably because it deliberately took out pretty much every factor of being confused about where you are and lose, like I get with most 3D games. I just never felt that lost on The Witness. Definitely. I'm definitely feel like, I guess, yeah. Games where you're in first person are particularly easy to get lost in, I guess, has been my experience. And I'm prone to it, at least. Now the question is, can I use the command lister to execute a different lister? Let's start with command listerception. That worked. Now let me try a little snippet lister. Okay, and then if I do a separator. Alright, so one more time. Snippet, app. Alright, cool. Only thing is, the snippets are about typing code in quickly, so having to get to them through a command lister would actually be just nonsense. I need that on the fast path. But, in general now, the lister handoff works. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I would play Taiji and get lost, but I feel like I can do a very good job of memorizing and navigating a 2D map, but I have a very hard time figuring out where I am in first-person 3D. Like, the nice thing about 2D is that the orientation never changes, and so there's never any, like... I feel like the change in orientation created by first-person 3D is a big part of the problem for me, because I just can't figure out where I am relative to the map. Yeah, exactly. Left is always up, left. And so my brain is very good at memorizing a map, and then when the problem of where am I is solved very easily, that's the hard part for me, and then I can navigate. pretty easily from there. The hard part being where am I means that if I do know the map, I still have trouble, and often I'm in a situation where you don't even know the map in a 3D first-person game because I don't play them for long enough to know the map. But even if I do know the map, which has happened a few times in my life, where I've played a game with people enough that I know that, like, I've played 2 or 3 hours of Halo with friends before and like figured out the maps and I know where things are, it still doesn't matter because I don't know where I am half the time. And so it's like a look around and figure out, like, okay, here's where I am, I hear something coming, I can't figure out where I think it's coming from, and so on. Yeah, in The Witness, there was, like, first of all, never anyone around the corner about to shoot you, making you, like, choose between figuring out where you are and figuring out where they're coming from. So all you had to keep track of was where you think you are and where you think everything else is. It also was very easy, like, there was never, I mean, there were definitely annoying cases where it's like, there's an invisible wall here preventing me from getting where I'm trying to go, but that was always in a case where I was trying to find a place I'd never been, not when I was trying to get to a place I've been to before. I think there was only one time that I ever went somewhere and then couldn't figure out how to get back there. And that was because, like, it's a very early part of the game, I couldn't figure out how to get, like, I got to a little portion of the puzzles with the squares where they first introduced, like, the Tetris pieces, and there was, like, the platforms that move around based on the panels, and I found that, and then I walked away and did something else because I was already, like, thinking about something else and working on it, and then it took me a little while to find it again, but once I learned the map, that was not a problem in The Witness anymore. And I guess the more important thing to all that, though, is that there's very rarely walls between things that you can access. It's a little bit open world, so that the only kind of, I mean, there actually are walls, but they don't, a lot of the walls aren't visual walls, at least, so you don't just stare at a wall and be like, what wall is this that I'm staring at? Which is how I feel playing first-person shooters a lot of the time. Alright, anyway, so let me go to the to-do list. That one's gone. Alright, Turbo Word Complete Lister, or want to move on to the project listers. Actually, let's deal with this first. This one is gone. We did that. Clipbox inside UI rec. So let's go to the view UI real quick. So the problem here is if I put a clip box inside of every inner rect, that turns out to be a lot of clip boxes, and that's a bit slow. If I don't, if I choose not to do that, then these strings spill over the edge. Unless I found some way to truncate that, which is just it's a string measuring problem that my engine is not good at handling. The alternative is just leave that in there. Let it be a bug. Another alternative is to just put the clip box right there and only change it if, but they're allowed to be anywhere in theory. It's not a very smooth idea. Here's another idea. I think that just solved the problem. Nope. I don't know. So one thing is, I may not have built it. There we go. Problem solved. Okay. Alright, Turbo Word Complete Lister. So the thing I had in mind when I wrote that down was that I might make a lister that's like doing the, let me just go to the right. So it's like the word completer, and so the idea is if I type like, if I hit this command that's the turbo word completer, I'd start with an empty list, and then I might start typing. If I type B, it would show me the first 5 things that B completes to, and then if that, or like the first 10 or full screen of it or whatever. I don't know. There's a couple of problems with this idea. So one is the current way the word completer works is it gives you these one at a time, and so this wouldn't actually be related to this word completer. It'd be a new kind of word completer. You'd hit the thing, you'd start typing whatever you wanted, and it would use a list of words that it gets that's like limited in length, so that it only has to get the first like 15 or whatever. Fewer if it can't find more. And if the thing you wanted to type isn't on there, you get more specific. Then you can use tab to maybe do the next 15 words. And there can even be like a special character that you can hit that tells it to, if there's like, you typed in BUF and everything is BUFFER, have it fill out to buffer but keep the lister up, so that you can get just through all the matching characters. Then it would be like begin turbo word complete, type in view underscore get manage, and then enter, and it finds the thing you want, right? Manage, and then enter, and you get the thing you want. You know, before I do that, there's something more important, because that would be most useful if I had wildcards. So let's go do that. Okay, so quick test of something here. Are we actually case insensitive? We're not. That's what I was missing. Okay. Good. Okay. If we're going to do wildcarding, then what we would want to do is up here, build our wildcard structure. Which is called getting your absolutes. You just get your absolutes sit right here, and you say, well, here is the string that we have wildcards in. In this case, the string is called node string, and then we say, here's where I want you to put your absolutes, and yeah, give me an implicit first and last. Then we run wildcard match. Yeah, man. Later. Thanks for hanging out, Matthew. Didn't realize you're on the East Coast now, by the way. Has that always been true? Seems new. But anyway, yeah, see ya. I thought you were like Central Time for some reason. Anyway, my mistake, but yeah. Obviously, it's super late. Here's the absolutes. The absolutes, I should say. Oh, case sensitive is an option. Okay. Not case sensitive. So, if that's that, and then boom. Okay. And then what we have up here is our absolutes. Has wildcard equals absolutes.count is greater than 2. Not has wildcard, and I don't know, why don't we just keep that? If it matches exactly, pop it to the top. If it matches, if the part that it matches, that's tough. If it does not have a wildcard, and it matches, and put that there. Okay. Hey, Vermont, I think Abner might have left. But he does not use 4coder. I happen to know that too. Whoops, I kept the wrong one around. I should have kept this as saying node string, and I should take this one out. Hey, Sinocron, what's up? We're just working through some details here. So I was just working on wildcards. Let's see if this works. So if I wanted to do close panel, nice. Close pan. Now if they're out of order, it won't work. Close panel. Still doesn't match straight to close panel, but V-split. Okay, what if I want to do search list locations insensitive. So I can just go list ins, and there's my function right there. L star LO star IN is how I'm getting to it. Lie insensitive. Lie low ins. Doop. No matches. Okay, wildcarding is working. So now with wildcarding, I no longer have an excuse to not move on to Turbo Word Complete. How long has this stream been? Hour and 41? This is my last stream no matter what, so I'm just making a call here, but I think Turbo Word Complete is probably on the edge of what I can accomplish tonight. But if I get it done tonight, then tomorrow we can get this project stuff done in half the day and start the rest of the half the day on other things. No point in editing this code. My mistake. Alright, so is there anything else I can do? Like if I switch to some of this other stuff now that's less difficult? I mean, I could do Turbo Word Complete Lister as my first thing tomorrow and get the project stuff happening now because those will be easier. Especially the first two. Yeah, so I don't really have any tutorials that are super helpful for getting off the ground with 4coder as your first editor. I mean, I plan for that to be a thing that exists someday. It's just not there yet. If your main problem is just like getting used to the basics, like setting a mark and cursor and stuff, I can't really do much for you. Like, it's just something that you have to practice and get good at, like, and find some explanation of how it works. I mean, I can give you tips if you have questions about how do you do X and Y. I can give you the basics. So, like, if your problem is like, how do I get a list of these files, or how do I open a file, or how do I copy and paste, and whatever, then I can, help you with those little things. But not really planning to switch to tutorials for a little while still. I have a big plan to do a bunch of documentation and manuals and tutorials for things. In a not too distant future, probably early to mid 2019, if I'm being realistic about the timeline. Not sure when. But yeah, let me know. Alright, let's try a project command lister. I feel like we can do that. I think we can pull that off. So let's go to project commands. First I need to see if include yeah, that's way down there on the list, so we can definitely do this. Project command array, project command array, okay. And then the current project and current project arena are just sitting right there. Perfect. So let's try this. These are all setup scripts, or setup script creators. Go to root directory, fkey command. Exec project fkey command. Command index, fkey commands. project command F key, exec project command. Why doesn't that just say command? Alright, this is not going to be very hard. So, we want to have project Yeah, no problem, man, of course. I don't expect anyone to make an effort to try something wacky. You know, 4coders, honestly, I don't even feel like many people, I don't think it's right for very many people because it's still too young. I prefer to people, you know, not take a risk on it and hate it because of it. Because it, in my opinion, is not ready. Project command lister. Alright, so what we want to do here, quick doc string, begin a lister, open a lister of all commands in the currently loaded project. That's going to save me some time every couple days. Well, every few days is going to save me about 2 minutes to have this in there, and then every day it's going to save me possibly about 20 seconds. So 20 seconds 2 or 3 times a day, maybe on average, maybe twice a day on average, and 2 to 3 minutes once a week on average, like once a week 2 to 3 additional minutes on top of that. I don't know. Add it up. And then look at how quickly I'm going to get it to work, not based on the things we've already built. So we're going to need example. So let's go to the lists. We want grab an arena, grab a UI mode, view and end its UI mode, grab a temp, end the temp, figure out our option count, and then figure out our options enumerator, and then do all this stuff. So our option count in this case comes from, well, first of all, let's go up to current project dot loaded. Alright, so in this case we're going to return right away if there's not a current project, and then current project command array, current project command array count, push on a list of options equal to the length of that, grab this again, alright, the name will be the current project command array I'm a little worried these are not null terminated. I'm not sure why I decided that these should be null terminated, if I'm being totally honest. So the thought I might want to revisit. Alright, for now what we're going to do is say that these need to be null terminated, and we need to push string copies to make it happen. See, we don't need a status at all. Yeah, that's for the best, I believe. I mean, if it was going to be something, it would be the command. But, yeah, why don't we just do it? Whoops, forgot to put in the index here. I dot command. Yeah, the Emacs customization is pretty rough. Part of the goal of 4coder is to be easier to customize version of Emacs. It's one way I look at it. But the other thing about 4coder is that it's super minimalist right now. Like, it's not like with Emacs, at least, once you're comfortable with the customization a little bit, you can go and find super crazy customizations that have been written for all kinds of things. And if you're sticking with Visual Studio and stuff, that suggests that you like having the full set of built-in, like, IntelliSense word complete type features that you would need to like estimate or like approximate those effects in 4coder with your own customization code, which is definitely a lot of work. So it makes sense. So yeah, I think this is all fine. Then we want to do putter as int as putter I, and then our basic list will be command activate project command. And then we're going to have a static void. Let's go back to lists and get an example of an activation function real quick. There we go. Activate project command. Then what we want to do is we get our index. Put her as int user data. Command index, and then that does the check, grabs a command and executes it. And now what we'll do is we'll just add in the redundancy there so that in this version of the path it does help. Although I suppose what I should really do is this. Let that be duplicated for the non-redundancy of the check. By index, here's the app, here's the command index. There's literally nothing else I can do for you except no, I think there's literally nothing else I can do for you. I just need to make sure I call that I think I should just call this default. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's one good way to do this. Okay, so the whole point of all that... What was I just working on? I forget what the whole point of all that was. Project command lister, right. So let's load a project. And then let's look at a lister for project commands. So it's going to be pro lister, and here's everything it can do. Let's take a look. Build x64, build site, build string, build x86, build metadata, package, build config parser generator, generate config, build one time, run one time. Yeah, that's the whole set. Suppose I wanted to run the package script. There it goes. Okay. Alright, so those other things are all getting a little more complicated. This involves changing the project system. This involves editing the project F-key map, even though that's very simple. It also involves a two-stage lister, which I've never made before, so that's a little different. This one will be somewhat complicated, so I don't really want to get them started late at night here. So I think, because my brain's a little bit feeling like it needs to stick with easy stuff. So we got the project command lister done. I think that's as far as I can go tonight. I mean, I could do some easy stuff, but I can't really think of any good, easy stuff to do right now. Everything here looks a little bit difficult. The only thing I could possibly do is maybe start thinking about visible markers. The only reason I don't like that is there's even a complexity in the design there that needs to get worked out first. All of these either involve just complicated code or subtle design stuff. This is subtle design and complicated code. This right here is complicated code. This is complicated code. This is complicated code and design stuff. This is subtle design stuff. This is potentially buggy, like potentially high risk for bugs and anything that does reloads. And then there's the doubly linked list node managed object, which is very subtle, complex design stuff. None of that is simple. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, documentation is the other option, but it's just, I don't know. It's a little bit rough. It's a little bit daunting. I feel like it's just too late. If I had more low-hanging fruit, like maybe more ideas for snippets or something, I could work on that for a little bit. What else? What's another good idea for a lister system once you've got one? Let's see. What else would you do with a lister system? What else is good for a lister system? Not sure. Let's just troll around and look for other ideas for new listers. Or new snippets. I guess both. Let's see. Snippets. You know, if I did a snippet, if I went ahead and moved like to do hack note and block into here, the only problem with that would be you're supposed to get the names in there too, and I'm not sure how I would do that. I mean, if I had the ability to do markup in here for extra special stuff, but what else have I got? Let's look at view.cpp. Let's look at math. So there's an interesting thought. Also, why do all these things say inline internal? That's dumb. Alright, so here's some ideas we could do. Op plus is internal, or I'll just leave that off and let people do what they need to do with that. Operator plus zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Yeah, the idea here is that a snippet is just some code that you often type all at once. Like I often will type if, and then I'm right here. But what I really want is after I've typed it to have my cursor right here so I can type that part, and my mark right there so that I can go if foo, switch to this mark, and then bar, right? But when I'm done actually typing it, it doesn't take that long to type, but my positions are all wrong, and so I end up having to go up, foo, down, bar, and there's just a couple extra strokes in there. Plus there's a, possibly, depending on, like, if is an example where it's actually, like, what was that, 6 strokes to get to here. So not that many, but with the snippet system, it would just be activate snippet system, IF enter, so the number of strokes actually goes down to 4 to get the whole thing typed and to get all your cursors where you want them. That's why it would be nicer if I could have even more. I'm just doing 2, one for the cursor and the mark. If I was going to go a little bit further, what I would do is like, okay, here's my for loop. I would have an like an @1, @2, @3, @4, and then have a thing that helps you visit those in order, like that you can cancel obviously, but that like you can activate it and be like, go to the next one, and then it'll take you to the next one in order, and then you can do whatever you want, and then go to the next one, do whatever you want, and then once you've gone to all of them, it automatically closes itself, or you can close it at any time and be like, just throw them all away, I don't want them anymore, get rid of them. The reason I just haven't already done that is it just requires a lot more work, and that would be worth something, but I don't think that would be worth the work it would take to get there initially. Because that's like a matter of you have to parse out the ats somehow. You have to decide when you want that parse to happen. Do you want that to happen at runtime every time you activate it, or do you want that to happen like in an earlier baking phase? Either way, once you have the array and the real text you want to insert, that array then has to get turned into an array of markers, not an actual array of like just numbers, but an array of markers that lives with the buffer. And then you need some handle that takes you back to those markers, and then you need some story about like what's the structure about how you get back to those markers. And then once you know how to get back to your marker handle and get the markers out, you can then have to make the thing that does the iteration through them. It's just too much. So we're doing just the 2 for now, because the 2 is free basically by comparison to how much work 3 or more is. So we're seeing how much I can get out of 2. And if it's not enough, if I feel like I could really get a lot more out of 3 or more, then I'll go back and do the heavy duty work. But the idea is to keep it lightweight, so that's as far as I'm going with this one. So that's 1, 2, 3 extra characters. Yeah, okay. This is some pretty old code right here. Okay, leave the rest of that. It might be. Young Lena asks, is it worthwhile having a functionality that can count how many characters there are in a selected area? It might be worth something, but I mean, if you're talking about like right now when I'm counting these, almost it would be worth something, but then you have to realize that like /n's count for 2 if I do it at a text level. And it would be more valuable if I could say, hey, this is a string literal, how many characters are in it, out in this range, but, you know, do you want to go that far with it, just implementing this? I don't know. I've never really needed a counter like that until this thing here, and so if it starts coming up every day, obviously I'll make that. But right now it isn't coming up every day. Okay. Okay, there we go. That's enough for now. Enough updating the code style. Wait, ugh, these if-elses are gonna kill me though. You can't go without braces. It's a big deal because it changes how you read the code. It lets you know what's actually going on. The shape of it is more self-apparent this way. Okay. Alright, what else? Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Alrighty. I think that's it for me today. Thanks for hanging out, people. Good to see people in the chat. Always fun to talk. There will be even more tomorrow. If you check it out, this to-do list still has 3 more listers to do before we even get on to other features of the new build. So, lots still coming. Thanks for hanging out. See you later.